Ladies and gentlemen, last Tuesday, 1 week ago today, I made a Star Wars tier list that a handful of people really enjoyed. So I figured, let's try and make it a weekly thing. Probably not though, because I'm a busy guy, but I figured a little bit of a tier list Tuesday action wouldn't hurt anybody. You're gonna see me looking over here a lot because we're in one of those setup modes where it's over here instead of over here. A little bit of a bigger undertaking than the Star Wars one. We have a lot more to work with here. This is the current MCU 100% inclusion. That means we got, where are they? I know they're here. WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier, which is da-boo-boo-boo. It's around. I know it's here. Here it is. There we go. So, without further ado, maybe the most important tier list I've ever done in my career. As I look at my phone during the most important moment of my career, I'm looking at my phone because D&D is tonight and I don't want to be too late for it. Hold on a minute. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm a bad YouTuber. You hate me. I know it. All right. Without further ado, we're going to get off to the races. Let's start with Ant-Man. Because we have to. It's where it's goes. Music. What's this song? You're not in our rotation. One moment, please. Sorry about that. I was afraid that if something could sneak its way in, we might get some like explicit, non-royalty free stuff. But anyway, Ant-Man. I like Ant-Man a lot. I'm a big fan of Paul Rudd. I met him at Comic-Con. The first Ant-Man's great. Heist movie. Good comedic stuff. You got a good cast there. I think this is a good start for our like C tier. Like last time, I'm gonna put them all in order, left to right, once we get to that point. But yeah, I think Ant-Man's a perfect middle of the road MCU movie. The Hulk, on the other hand, is not. The Hulk is probably the worst MCU movie. I know it's early to be slapping down an unbearable. That's more than likely going to be the most unbearable, but that's just the way it is. It's the weird one because they didn't have Mark Ruffalo at the time and Big Zippy. And you know, it's not terrible. No movie on this list is terrible because this is probably still like a 5 out of 10, and it's I think the worst movie we're going to deal with. But between the not so great CGI, the totally weird actor swap, it's probably gonna have to hit the bottom of the barrel. Much like Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World is probably the worst sequel in the MCU. I mean, Thor 1's a lot of fun, and obviously Thor Ragnarok's one of the best, but Thor the Dark World is just so forgettable. Like the enemy, who I want to say his name is Malekith, the Dark Elves, like they're super forgettable. The only real good thing that happened in that movie is it introduced the Reality Stone, and his mom gets got. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen Thor: The Dark World or anything on this list, that's going to come up because you know when we get to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that's a new thing. So, spoiler warning now. But yeah. It's not great. It's not the worst, and you know them going back to it in Endgame is fun, but definitely it's a low tier Marvel movie. Up next, we've got Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, this is pretty good. I'm a fan of Captain America: The First Avenger, but if you see me looking like in this weird middle direction that isn't fully over here or here, I have notes. Just in case there's something, a talking point I wanted to bring up. Captain America: The First Avenger is pretty good. I think I like it more than most people do. Obviously, this is my own personal ranking. I say that every time. There's nothing like, this isn't getting published anywhere outside of YouTube, but like it's not like Marvel's Kevin Feige is gonna walk in that door and be like, "Thank you, Tyler. You've made this official, and everyone has to agree with you." That's all the wait. It's not how it's going. But I think I'm gonna put Captain America: The First Avenger in the C tier as well. I think I like it just about as much as I like Ant-Man. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, however, I think is a masterpiece. One of the undoubtedly best films that this company has to offer. As a result of being that good, it's getting a wonderful tier. That's right. We got unbearables and wonderfuls this early in, but like it's hard to argue. It's a perfect action movie. It's like the cast, they keep it small with the cast, because everything these days is like every Avenger has to be in it. But you got the heartfelt with Bucky, you've got like the Hydra being revealed as S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury getting blasted. This movie is absolutely incredible and might be one of the best movies, if not the best movie in the MCU. That debate will come when we see what we have up there. Another movie capable of that claim is Endgame. And you know what? I'm just going to do this now. Endgame and Infinity War are both, they're two halves of one movie, basically, and they're both absolutely insane. These movies are the culmination of 20 years of incredible work over so many movies, so much in the MCU. It culminates to this, two incredible films with, I mean, jam-packed cast. Thanos, one of the best enemies, one of the greatest action scenes ever in Endgame. And I think Infinity War is such a well-paced film with all your little hopping around from group to group. Both of these are absolutely incredible, and they're both in their wonderful tier. Personally, I think I like Infinity War a little more. We're going to talk about that more in detail when we get to that point. But these are both top-tier films. Now we're going to move on to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange isn't my favorite. I find it kind of boring. It's very pretty. That's the movie's saving grace. There's a lot of cool things going on in it. But like, I don't like Stephen Strange that much as a leading man. I think he really found his character starting in Infinity War. Like, once he starts acting that way, it's a lot better. But I think this is going to go in the D tier for now. Might be a little bit of a reshuffle later, but for now, that's where I'm putting it. The original Avengers is another just great film. Gotta probably give you an A for Avenger on that one. I mean, like, it's the first movie like this of, I mean, there's been a handful of crossover movies, but like, to have so many different things culminate, this is the real starting point. Like, yeah, you got Iron Man's the first MCU movie, and then you have, like, you know, Thor and Hulk and all that good stuff, Captain America, but like, this is the one. Like, if this movie didn't make a lot of money, none of the rest of this happened. This was the cool first crossover. Loki's a great antagonist. You got so much going on. This introduces Mark Ruffalo to the MCU, because this was Edward Norton. But absolutely great movie. Just shy of wonderful tier, I'd say, but it's very good. Very, very good. Next up is Captain Marvel. Now, Captain Marvel is probably one of the most divisive films in the MCU, because a lot of people are like, oh my god, girl power, best movie I've ever seen, and a lot of assholes are like, girl. So it's hard to even talk about this movie, because if you say anything good, people lump you in with Camp A, and if you say anything bad, they lump you in with Camp B. I'm gonna talk very specifically. I think that this film is pretty okay. My issue with it is Captain Marvel herself. I don't think she was that good of a leading lady. I think she needed to be humbled, and it didn't happen. I think it happened a little bit in Infinity War. Endgame, rather. And I think that the sequel, The Marvels, which is going to also have Miss Marvel, and it's going to be really good. And I think it's clear that they showed from that first movie, it really needs someone to bounce off of. It was Nick Fury and all those aliens, like that's the real good story there. And I remember, it's hard to debate it. I read an article. The reason MCU changed the second Marvel movie from a standalone Captain Marvel movie to The Marvels is because they didn't think that the Captain Marvel character was enough to stand on her own. And I agree. So I'm gonna put Captain Marvel at probably, it would be, I guess, the top of the bottom of the C tier, maybe the top of the D tier. She's gonna fall somewhere in here. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a lot of fun. I love this movie. The Guardians of the Galaxy are my personal favorite, like, gang. It's a lot of fun. I'm thinking it's the B tier. I mean, Kurt Russell as Ego is a lot of fun. Obviously, it's the most fun group you've got. You got some good character development for people like Rocket and Nebula. Baby Groot the whole time, which I never expected. Like, before that movie came out, the little baby Groot was like cute, and they were just gonna, like, in the shoot him right up to being normal Vin Diesel size Groot again. But he's Baby Groot the whole time, and then in Endgame / Infinity War, he's a teenager the whole time. Like, we still haven't gotten back to adult Groot since fucking, I don't know, what is this, 2012? It's mental. It's crazy. But the movie's really fun. I like it a lot, and that's where it goes. B tier. Now, another movie in this area, I think maybe a little bit better. So I don't know if it's going to be B tier, maybe A tier. Black Panther. Black Panther is loved by a lot of people. First off, culturally, you can't not talk about the impact. Black superhero, super cool. He means a lot to a lot of people, and also, of course, the passing of Chadwick Boseman was terrible. But this movie, without, let's not look at any of that. Let's not look at the cultural relevance. Let's talk about the movie. It's really good. You got an antagonist that really is a little bit more than your simple, like, I am just you but evil, like the Ironmonger or Yellow Jacket and Ant-Man. Yeah, he is just bad Black Panther as far as powers go, but like what he stands for and what he wants is so good and nuanced. This movie's only real like fail is the CGI is like really not that good, and the story isn't blowing doors down. It's really good, but I mean, it's clearly different from the ones above it. I would say it's better than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I don't know if it's better enough to be in the A tier yet, so we're gonna leave it here until we get to the everything being on the board. Plus B for Black Panther. That's not how we're doing it, but you know, funny. Next is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is like pretty fun and funny, and I like it, but it's not that great. I'm thinking like maybe right up there with Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel. It's in this area, maybe this area. Again, we're gonna have to shuffle around, but it's definitely better than Iron Man 2. Definitely not as good as Iron Man 1, but it's got a lot of fun stuff. You got all those super suits. You got the Mandarin swap. There's some stuff in here that works, and there's some stuff in here that doesn't. But ultimately, it's not terrible. I think it might get bumped to the C tier, but again, as I'll say after every single thing I place, let's wait till we get there. Thor Ragnarok is incredible. It is undoubtedly the best Thor movie. Probably the best standalone superhero sequel that isn't Winter Soldier. I know it's a mouthful there, but I mean, like, listen, it might be true. I think for now it's going in the A tier, but it definitely might end up in the S tier. You get Hulk back, who, I mean, it's like, hey, what were these guys doing during Civil War, you know, like, because these were the two guys that were left out, and they were having just as fun of a film, if not a better one. Taika Waititi as the director, I mean, kills it. Can't wait to see him do more work. I'm looking so forward to Thor Love and Thunder, plus you're getting Christian Bale on that, the return of Natalie Portman. So much good stuff on the horizon for Thor. Thor's my favorite of the four main Avengers. So this is a big movie. I love it a lot. Lots of praise from me. Next up is our first TV show. Now, I gotta tell you, I've since the MCU started, I've kept track of the order that I like them in for the most part, and that's the notes that I'm referring to. What's not on here are TV shows. So figuring out where to put something like Falcon, Winter Soldier, and WandaVision is going to be very difficult. So I'm going to pull an audible here and move them to the end of the line. That way, once I see everything, I can kind of get a hone in. So let's talk about Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is bad. I don't like Iron Man 2. I think they super dropped the ball with Whiplash. It's the introduction of Don Cheadle, which I think he's still better than I think Cuba Gooding Jr. was the first one. But, you know, you still have that jarringness. Hammer is a cool bad guy, but the Whiplash is terrible. Mickey Rourke's performance is so weird. I gotta tell you, this is another unbearable film. I don't think there's gonna be any other ones, but these are the three that I think I would put down here. I might even bump Iron Man 2 up to D. We'll see what happens when that comes, if this tier isn't too crowded, but this is not that good. This film needs work. Iron Man 3 is only a little bit better. It's only the first Iron Man that really kills it for me. But yeah, that's how it's gonna be. Guardians of the Galaxy, though, like I said, personal favorite of mine. It's going right in the wonderful tier. This ragtag group of misfits, they announced this movie and everyone was like, who? That's gonna suck. And you know what? I was one of them. I was like, I don't care who are the Guardians of the Galaxy? I want to see Captain America and Iron Man and stuff. And they were like, no, you're gonna care about this. Look, Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec. And I was like, I haven't watched Parks and Rec yet. I don't care about anyone in this except for maybe Batista because I like wrestling. But this movie blew me away. It was so funny. I've seen it so many times. James Gunn is one of my favorite directors in the world because of it. Plus, you also got masterpieces like Scooby-Doo under his belt in the upcoming Suicide Squad. Absolute riot. undoubtedly the best comedy in the MCU. Only challenged by Thor Ragnarok, but even so, I think Guardians takes the cake. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone that disagrees with that. Absolutely killer movie, and undoubtedly in the wonderful tier for me. OG Thor. I like OG Thor more than most people, which is very similar to my stance on Captain America: The First Avenger, so it's going to go right there with Captain America: The First Avenger. These movies are, they're origin stories, and with origin stories come very like, oh, the bad guy is just like you, but evil. Thor is one of the few that doesn't do that. You got Loki, you got an actual good established character. And I think, and I mean, like the fish out of waterness of him being on Earth. I mean, the scene where he drinks the coffee and goes, "I like this, another." It's a gold. The movie is so good. It's definitely, it might even be a B tier. We're gonna have to see, but I like it about as much as Ant-Man and Captain America. I like it more than Captain Marvel. We're gonna have to see. This area is getting a little chunky in the seats here. Might have to bump some up and some down. We're gonna have to see what happens. We still got a few more movies to go though. Ant-Man and the Wasp is about, like, for me, it's about like as good as Ant-Man. It's a little bit worse probably. I'm thinking that because of how full the C tier is, I'm gonna put Ant-Man and the Wasp in the D tier. I like it more than both of these movies, and I'm sure I'm gonna bump it up a little bit. I might bump it a little bit higher into the C tier. We just gotta see what happens when we reshuffle. But this movie's, like, giving Hope Van Dyke a little more screen time is great. You get a lot of stuff with the zone. It's not the Phantom Zone, that's from DC. The Quantum Realm. And it's a lot of fun. Personal note, anecdotes on this movie. I met the lovely Dynamite, who you know from his channel and the baseball channel. If you haven't checked him out, go to my featured channels. He's doing a lot of good, running through Resident Evil right now. That's a good stuff if he wants that big mommy vampire. But yeah, we met at a screening of this. That was the very first moment I met Dynamite was Ant-Man and the Wasp. But that doesn't affect this movie. Just a little anecdote I'd love to throw you. But I think it's a high D, low C. So in the reshuffle, it'll probably be right around here. Avengers Age of Ultron is a fun Avengers film, but Ultron wasn't great. Some of the stuff just doesn't work. I think a lot of people would agree that it's not that amazing. It was a kind of a dud after the Avengers, but so much worse than like these. I think it's another D tier film. Like, I would rather watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is basically filler. It's basically the whole reason for Ant-Man and the Wasp is to give us a setup for Endgame with the Quantum Realm. But then with Ultron, this is a mainstream movie. It's got so much impact on the entire MCU, and it's kind of just blah. Like, Ultron's boring, and they deal with him way quickly. It introduces Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch is one of my favorite Avengers, if not my favorite. But like, I don't know, man. The whole thing is just very, very not. It's lackluster. Not much is going on in it. Everyone agrees with that. I mean, it says up a lot. I mean, like, Civil War is a great thing that comes up the back of this movie, but this movie on its own, not the best. Iron Man, OG Iron Man is great. I'm talking A tier great. This is the movie that launches the MCU. Tony Stark's character development over it is absolutely mental. It's so good. Watching, like, Obadiah. I mean, I always forget that we had Jeff Bridges in the MCU. He wasn't here at the very beginning, but this movie's got so much good going for it. It's so exciting. It pioneers the MCU, directed by Jon Favreau, who, last time we talked about Jon Favreau here, he was in this #1 spot for Star Wars. Like, the man knows what he's doing, bringing back Star Wars and Marvel, making Disney millions, billions probably. But yeah, the first Iron Man is absolutely incredible. By the way, obviously you can tell I'm doing like barely 2 minutes on each movie. When we rearrange them, I'll do a little bit more, but this isn't like, we're making a tier list here. We're not here for in-depth analysis of all the movies. If that's something that would interest you, please leave a comment. I've been considering making a movie recommendation series where it's like a big movie review, so like 15 minutes on one movie. And I don't mind doing old movies. If you wanted to see me really in-depth talk about like maybe Infinity War and Endgame, I'll do it. I love that stuff. Movies are my favorite thing in the world. I would love to do that. So if you're interested in that, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll get to it. Civil War, we were just talking about it. basically the best payoff for Age of Ultron. Civil War has probably the best fight sequence in the entire MCU in it with the airport. So much fun. Introduces Spider-Man, which also ruins the timeline, but what can you blame them? They got rights to Spider-Man there. Like, we gotta throw him in something. This is a high B, probably even low A. I can't start reshuffling now. Throw everything off. But this movie is absolutely incredible. And I mean, yeah, I mean, just the impact on society. Everyone was like Team Cap, Team Iron Man. Movie theaters, I know I worked at one. Movie theaters had like separate doors and seatings. Oh, if you're Team Iron Man, go this way. If you're Team Captain America, go this way. It was so much fun. Me and my friends were fighting about it forever. I was Team Captain America. A few of my friends were Team Iron Man. My stupid friends. And dude, it was just what a fun movie. It also introduces Zemo, who we're gonna get to how great Zemo is in a second. But yeah, great stuff from Civil War. Can't complain for even a moment there. The Spider-Man films are great. They're more than great. They're incredible. I think I'm gonna put both of them in the A tier. That's how good I think they are. Making the A tier our biggest tier, which I don't think that's not solidified yet, but I don't think that's a problem. This is where a Marvel movie. This is what I expect from Marvel movies, and this is like I still love them, but would consider them a disappointment. Maybe not Ant-Man. Maybe not any of these. Maybe honestly, really, these are the only ones that I've ever been really disappointed with, and maybe this guy right here. But like this is what we've been getting lately. I mean, look at our newest movies in the MCU. Boom, 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 boom. Like, great. Oh yeah, boom, whatever. But like the it's clearly going up and up and up, and I'm so happy to be along for the ride. Spider-Man, both of them are incredible. Yeah, this one messes up the timeline. But Homecoming, I mean, Vulture's one of the best enemies I've ever seen. You got this dynamic between him and Iron Man is so good. Stan Lee himself said that it's the best Peter Parker performance he's ever seen. Granted, he probably only saw like 3, but I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with. I mean, it's better than the only other Spider-Man movie that exists that's a live action that maybe is as good as these is Spider-Man 2 from the original trilogy, but it's still, I don't think it's that. I think these two movies blow it out of the water. Moving on to Far From Home, Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio is so good. What a good antagonist. Also, that cliffhanger, everyone knows who he is now. You got Samuel Jackson is the mentor this time, and Jon Favreau, a little thing going on with the aunt. So good. These movies are absolutely incredible. I know I said that I was going to save these for once everything's placed. I'm going to actually put them in order first. It's so hard to judge a TV show to a movie. As I mentioned a lot in the Star Wars one, because it was the same, similar. The more movies, obviously, in the MCU, but there were a handful of TV shows. And comparing them to a real movie is just so hard. So let's go with the wonderful tier. I think the only shift I'm going to be making here is this. I think Infinity War is the most incredible culmination of film in history. I would call it one of the best films of all time, except some people argue that, oh, if you don't know what the other movies are, you're not gonna like it. But they exist. Like come on, man. Like why are you marketing against something that's all great 100 movies before? Not 100, it's like 10. But like I can't like the fact that a mark against this film is that there are more films before it. It's like whatever. But yeah, this movie's incredible. What a great exclamation point ending along with Endgame. And it's weird to have something in between them. I know. But Winter Soldier is such a perfect movie that if I took the demerit seriously of that this was a sequel, it would have stayed like this. But Winter Soldier is a perfect action movie with an amazing plot. The small cast keeps it so clean. This movie you could show anyone with no MCU knowledge, and it still is incredible. This one I think you could. People will just not know who anyone is, but the plot's still easy to grasp. And then of course Endgame, second half of this. So Endgame gets like that same demerit and then some, because you actually do for Endgame. You need Infinity War. Like you can't watch Kill Bill Volume 2 without Volume 1. So that's a little bit, but this movie's incredible. The ending is great. I mean, everything about these three are so interchangeable. Honestly, these four are so interchangeable, because this one right here is my personal favorite. Like I said, it's so funny. I love Star-Lord. My customized personal license plate literally says Star-Lord. I love this movie more than most things. I'm trying to, these three I think are objectively better, and this one's my favorite, so that's the wonderful tier. I think I don't think anything needs to come or go. I think this is exactly how it's meant to be. Now the A tier is going to be a little bit harder to work with. Let's think of how we want to arrange this. I'm thinking that with these films right here, that Iron Man is probably the objective best, then the Avengers, then Thor Ragnarok, then the Spider-Man. Is this how I feel? And also, how am I putting these Spider-Man? I think I want to put them like this, believe it or not. I mean, Far From Home is so good, and Homecoming is also so good. These movies are incredible. I think I like Far From Home a little bit more. Thor Ragnarok is its own beast, man. It's so good. But like, I mean, you have the beginning of the MCU and the first Avengers film, which both knock it out of the park, and they're both so important to everything that I think this is the best way to order it. If you disagree, leave it in the comments. If you agree, leave it in the comments. But I think that I think this is the way to go. B tier is pretty small. I'm thinking we go Black Panther, top of the B tier, then Civil War, then Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, we got Black Panther. We've said everything we can about that movie. It's so good. Civil War is another great, should just be an Avengers film. Don't know why it's called Captain America, to be honest. It's just as much as like an Iron Man movie, but I mean, I get it, but you know. And Guardians, it's really fun. It's almost just as good as the first one, but like, I'm talking, the space between this movie and this movie is so small. Like, we're talking like a 9.9 and then like a 9.6. So like, all of these are 9.7s and 8s. Like, that's how it's like, it's a big jump because there's 7 movies in between them, but like, this top tier is so good. The real cutoff in quality, and it's not even that much quality dip, is right here, I think, after Guardians Volume 2. And it's not like a big jump, but like, now we're talking with like 8s and 7s. Ant-Man, Captain America, Thor, Captain Marvel. What do I know about these? Is that all I know is Captain Marvel is definitely the last one. I think I'm gonna go Thor, excuse me, Ant-Man move. Oh, just like that, perfect. Thor, Captain America, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel. These two, I mean, again, they're just as important as Iron Man. The Iron Man came first, and Iron Man is also just objectively better. But like, these two set so much in motion. They're really fun to watch. This one being a little more fun to watch in my opinion because of that fish out of water thing. But they're so good. Ant-Man's another really, I mean, these are all, we got 3 origins right down the middle, 4 origins right down the middle here. Except, I mean, we've got a lead character who I don't think can carry the movie by herself at the moment. I'm not saying Captain Marvel's bad. I'm just saying she needs more character development. Nothing, she never changed. The only thing that happened in that movie is that she found out who she is. She found out like she was from Earth, but her personality never changed. She was cocky the whole time, and she never paid for it. Movie needs help. Ant-Man, very low stakes, low to the ground, but I love that. You got Louise explaining everything going on in the summary and the van, great stuff. But like, there's a divide here, and I think this is the way to do it. The D tier is going to be a little tricky. I think the D tier should go Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 3, Doctor Strange, Avengers Age of Ultron. Ant-Man and the Wasp is basically just as good as the first Ant-Man. It's a little more, it has that vibe. I mean, it came out right in between Endgame and Infinity War, and it has that vibe of like, hey, we're filler for the end credit scene. The end credit scene's all that matters. He's in the realm. But the movie's still a lot of fun to watch. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's a little meh. Iron Man 3, same thing. It's like a silly little, hey, you want another Iron Man film, you got it. A lot more comedy in this one than the other two. A little too much, but again, it's fine. And, you know, villain was cool. He blows up or something. There's fireworks. Cool movie. No problem, really. But again, just like, I don't get as hype as I do with these other ones. Doctor Strange is almost the opposite, believe it or not. It's like his power is so cool and all that stuff is so hype, but like whenever he opens his mouth, I'm so bored in that movie. That movie is just a kind of a little boring. The Ancient One's really cool. Mads Mikkelsen is the bad guy, is like kind of cool, and Dormammu, I've come to bargain, is such a famous moment in the MCU, but I think this movie just needs a little more flair, and I think Multiverse of Madness is gonna have that flair. I suspect that we return to this with those new movies after Phase 4, Multiverse of Madness could end up here. Like, it's got such good hype, and I think he just needed these other ensemble casts to really help him realize like how Doctor Strange should be portrayed, and he's killing it. And Age of Ultron, I mean, what can you do? It's a fun Avengers movie. You got some good moments. You got them all hanging out and partying, being friends from the beginning. But Ultron, kind of a dud of a villain. Really cool concept, but you know, he comes and goes. Vision's super cool. He's also introduced in this movie. How could I forget? You have the Hammer banter, but ultimately, it feels like a missed opportunity. It feels like Ultron could have been cooler, bigger threat, and maybe should have been teased a little more beforehand. But ultimately, I think that's where this belongs. And finally, the bottom tier. I think it's you know what? I think I got it right or wrong. It's not too much of a wrong. I just think that it deserves. I think that these two films, that everyone in the MCU fan base would agree that these two films are so far beneath Iron Man 2 that I should do this. Iron Man 2 is worse than all four of these films, but it's still more of a D than it is unbearable. These are the only two really unbearable films in the MCU, because this one just is so disjointed now. It's not really the movie's fault, it's just everything about the MCU. Because the movie is like a solid like 6, but then it becomes so separated because it's a full-fledged main character swap, you know? It suffers hard from that, and so much of it, like none of it matters. We never talk about Abomination. We never talk about Liv Tyler's character. Stryker comes up sometimes, but like this is just, it's so separated. Whereas every little morsel in all these other movies impacts the other ones and the group ops, and the Hulk is just like so little from it matters. You could just have like the sentence he says about it in the first Avengers be all you need. You don't need this movie. You could kind of just axe it from the MCU entirely. That's why it gets the bottom spot. And Thor: The Dark World is the worst of the things that matter. Like, it matters. Can't argue it doesn't. It's got a whole ass Infinity Stone in it. And a lot that goes on in this movie has major impact. But at the end of the day, it's just the most hard to watch. It's not very entertaining. Not a lot of good stuff happens. But at least it matters, unlike the Hulk. The Hulk is just flat poo-poo. So, films alone, here's my ranking. 120 something, going down the list. I'm not embarrassing myself and trying to count again, but we have two outliers. I haven't done this. This is you're seeing it on the fly. I've never even thought about where these two land in the MCU. My friends will tell you, Dynamite will tell you, I talk about these movies in the order that I'd put them in all the time. And believe it or not, it's not even the same as what I wrote down in my notes for before I started. Sitting down and talking about it even changed my mind, and it changes all the time. These are great and they're such a good talking piece, but these are so interesting because you got WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, 2 series. So we got between, I think they're both a roughly 6 hours of content. I mean, the closest thing to that is Infinity War and Endgame. The two of them together are also about 6 hours of content. So that's the level of grandioseness that these shows have on their own. The culmination of the entire first act of the MCU has less screen time than a TV show about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Captain America's sidekicks, and a couple living a false reality. Now, it sounds like I'm bagging the shows. I don't mean to. I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, you wouldn't expect that, but that's just how TV shows roll. They give you so much more to work with. So, this movie about Captain America's good buddies, the show rather, and the show about Wanda having a mental breakdown are so much better as a result of it. Like, if you sandwiched all of this into 2 hours, it'd probably be like here. Same for this one, but I'll tell you what, I don't know exactly where they're going, but I can tell you with 100% certainty, they're both going B and higher. I'm gonna put them both right here for now so I can work with the realty. Let's see. Let's start with the obvious question. What did I like better between WandaVision and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? That's hard. I think most people like WandaVision better, and I think I might be in that boat. WandaVision was so much more exciting to watch weekly. Every episode was... Sip of water, sorry, needed. Every episode was so different from one another. It literally had that sitcom vibe. And then when they actually introduced the MCU stuff, it kind of hits you out of nowhere. It kept you guessing a lot. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, however, was a lot more straightforward MCU, but it was so good. I mean, you got John Walker, who's an amazing character. I know everyone hates him, but like that just shows how good of a character he is. If you could react so viscerally to a guy who hadn't even spoken a word in the episode where everyone started hating him, and plus where he goes, plus they take Zemo, who's the most unestablished villain from Civil War, and make him beloved. Like, I think objectively, this is actually better. I might like this one better. I don't know. It's tough for me to say which one I like better, but I think objectively this one's better, and showing earlier, I might like this one more than this one, but I'm trying to be objective here. So I think I'm going to ultimately put them in this order wherever they go. So I'm thinking, let's just go right through. I think both of them are better than Guardians Volume 2. I think... This is tough. It's really tough. I should have done more work beforehand to figure this one out, but I think that maybe WandaVision lands right here. I don't know if I like WandaVision more than I like Civil War or all those other movies, but I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier might be better than everything in this tier. I think I'm gonna bump Falcon and the Winter Soldier up to right now we're here, but I think I might even have liked it more than the Spider. It's also got that, like, I just finished the show. It's like it's so fresh and it was so good. I think it lands right behind Spider-Man, which means I'm gonna put it right there. B tier just got huge. I think both shows fall into it. I don't think it's any knock on the shows to say that they are like worse than these films. These are the cream of the crop of the MCU, and the fact that Falcon and the Winter Soldier lands just beneath the cream and WandaVision not far behind, I think this is a very appropriate place to put them. It might be... I was considering putting it above the Spider-Man, but I think I'm going a little bit too hard on the I just saw it and loved it. I think I was able to look at WandaVision objectively because it wasn't the most recent thing I consumed, whereas this was. But ultimately, I think this is exactly where they go. I think this is my MCU ranking. In order, we got Infinity War, then Winter Soldier, Endgame, Guardians 1, Iron Man 1, The Avengers, Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, Falcon Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Civil War, WandaVision, Guardians 2, Thor, Captain America 1, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man the Wasp, Iron Man 3, Doctor Strange, Age of Ultron, Iron Man 2, Thor 2, and the Hulk. In that order. I hope you guys stuck with me the whole time. If you have anything to say, I mean, please, like, these tier list videos that are gonna hopefully become a new commonplace, are where I want comments more than anything. I want to see what you guys think. I didn't mess up any posters this time, so shouldn't be any comments about that. But I'd love to see like how you guys feel about this ranking. Like, did I shag your favorite one? Is Captain Marvel your favorite, and you think it should be up here? Is Doctor Strange your favorite? Do you hate Winter Soldier? I know someone that hates Thor Ragnarok. Like, I want to know these things, and I want like write a paragraph, man. I'll read it. Like, let me know why you hate or love these films, and let me know what you think of the ranking. But I guess there's not much more to it. Here it is. Feel free to breathe it in. But oh, you know what? Leave a comment on what you want me to see me do next. I don't have any idea of what I'm doing next. I'll try and get something for next Tuesday. But like, I mean, Star Wars and MCU are the big one. Maybe we'll do DC if the superhero thing's popular enough. But yeah, let me know what you want. Thank you so much for watching. I've been wondering where you've been you. Like, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 1 million subscribers. Check out the baseball channel, description's in the link. Follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. And until next time, I'll be seeing ya. Peace, guys.